It's midnight and you're watching Nightline with me, Anita Wu. The top stories. Malaysia wins top marks for overall investment conditions. And Singaporean tycoon probed by MACC in Daim-linked investigation. Our headlining story. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC's dragnet into a high-profile investigation is widening, with a prominent Singaporean tycoon being called in for questioning to assist in the case. MACC's Anti-Money Laundering Division Director, Datuk Muhammad Zamri Zainul Abidin, when contacted by TV3, confirmed the matter, adding that the prominent property developer was ordered to declare his assets and the financial holdings of his company. He added that more individuals are expected to be called in for questioning by the MACC in the coming days. Earlier, Channel News Asia CNA had reported that businessman and property developer Datuk Seri Akbar Khan was the latest to be investigated by the MACC in its probe into former Finance Minister Tun Daim Zainuddin. Citing senior MACC sources and lawyers familiar with the situation, the Singapore-based news portal said the main shareholder of BRDB Development, Sendirian Berhad, had been temporarily detained for questioning last week after raiding his home and business premises in Kuala Lumpur. The report also claims the anti-graft body has frozen his business and personal accounts and has ordered him to declare his assets and his family's financial holdings. Malaysia has been ranked as the country with the best overall investment conditions among Asia's emerging and developing, or E&D, nations in US economic think tank Milken Institute's Global Opportunity Index, GOI 2024. Globally, Malaysia has an overall ranking of 27, ahead of Thailand at 37 and China at 39. According to the report, E&D Asia has the third largest GOI range between the top and bottom ranked countries among E&D regions. It said 4 of the top 10 countries in E&D Asia rank above the E&D overall average in 5 categories of the GOI. The categories are business perception, economic fundamentals, financial services, institutional framework, and international standards and policy. Milken Institute said Malaysia, the country with the best investment conditions in the region, perform significantly above the E&D average in financial services and institutional frameworks. The country's exceptional performance in institutional frameworks is partly due to its strong investors' rights, ranking 5th overall in this subcategory of the GOI. In addition to Malaysia, China, the region's largest economy, scores significantly above the E&D average on financial access and financial size and conditions, the 2 subcategories included in financial services. Milken also found that E&D Asia performed relatively well in financial services, with its average score in this category closely trailing that of E&D Europe and ahead of other E&D regions. This region includes Malaysia, which has the best investment conditions, captured by the highest GOI score among all E&D economies. Milken said that in addition to its robust business perception and financial services, Malaysia ranks relatively high in the institutional framework category, partly due to the strength of investors' rights in the country. Malaysia made an open invitation to German firms as well as businesses across Europe to engage, invest and partner with a dynamic, strategic and growing Malaysia. In making the call, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said Malaysia has a skilled labour force, modern infrastructure, a clear regulatory environment and huge growth potential. In his keynote address at the SME Day in Berlin, Anwar said that Malaysia is a dynamic economic fit for the 21st century and the perfect partner for German businesses.
Extremely peaceful region and the most vibrant economically and the fastest growing region in the world, with the advantage of having very strong relations with the United States and Europe, and at the same time having equally strong relations with China, Korea and Japan.
Anwar, who is also finance minister, said foreign investors can benefit from various efforts taken by the government to ease the doing of business, build confidence in the Malaysian system and ultimately ensure long-term stability in the country. Over the past decade, Germany has remained Malaysia's top trading partner in the European Union, while Malaysia is now the country's largest trading partner in Southeast Asia. Bilateral trade has grown by leaps and bounds at an annual average of 5.2%. Malaysia continues to be an attractive destination for FDIs, with German companies investing 43.6 billion ringgit as of 2023.
On another note, the Prime Minister has urged Germany to adopt a more inclusive and fair approach regarding palm oil exports to Europe. Anwar expressed Malaysia's concern that European Union EU policies on climate change, including its deforestation regulation, may serve as a form of non-tariff trade measure. The concern was raised during Anwar's meeting with Germany's Vice-Chancellor and Minister for Economic Affairs and Climate Action, Robert Habeck. The meeting took place at the Berlin station before Anwar delivered his keynote address at the annual SME Futures Day 2024. Meanwhile, on the Malaysia-EU Free Trade Agreement, FTA, both leaders hoped for a positive outcome of the scoping exercise between the technical experts of both sides and for them to start discussions. FTA negotiations were launched in 2010 and put on hold after 7 rounds in 2012. Malaysia and the trade bloc embarked on a scoping exercise recently to determine the gaps in the respective positions and stances, which would then provide direction to ensure that any negotiations consider the costs and benefits of the country. Malaysia has thus far enforced 16 FTAs and 62 investment guarantee agreements. Meanwhile, in the Dewan Rakyat, Plantation and Commodities Minister Datuk Seri Johari Abdul Ghani said the post of oil palm harvester should be made a specialist job to attract Malaysian youth. He said the ministry had also started a pilot specialised harvester course at the Technical and Vocational Education or TVET training colleges involving 60 students.
According to Johari, after the students have entered the course at TVET training colleges, they would be sent to palm oil plantations where they would be taught on how to harvest oil palm fruit. The students would then be taught the first 3 steps of oil palm harvesting, which are how to identify ripe oil palm fruit, how to cut palm fronds and how to cut off the fruit bunches.
Jadi harvester ini adalah merupakan satu profession yang sangat penting dalam industri kelapa sawit. Kalau kita ada pokok kelapa sawit dan kita takbir yang baik, tetapi kalau kita tidak ada harvester, dia akan menyebabkan buah-buah ini tidak dapat dituai.
Johari said this in his ministry's winding-up speech on the Royal Address debate in Parliament on Thursday. He said Malaysia was short of oil palm harvesters and relied heavily on foreign labourers, which accounted for 75% of the total. He added that the lack of harvesters is something very serious, as the national economy could suffer a loss of 8 billion ringgit, according to current prices. As such, the government aims to attract the interests of locals, especially the youth, to see harvesting as a unique and specialised profession.
Charging the future, with Malaysia setting a bold target to generate 70% of energy from renewables by 2050. How does the renewable energy industry strategize and innovate as it navigates towards achieving this ambitious goal? Money Matters with Managing Director of Gading Kencana Sdn Bhd, Datuk Dr. Engineer Muhammad Guntur Mansur Tobing, this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Back to the bulletin. The government will review the minimum wage this year. Human Resources Minister Stephen Sim Chee Kiong said the review would be based on the National Wages Consultative Council Act 2011. Sim also said that the government will take into account the views of all stakeholders, including employees and employers, as well as socio-economic reports such as those from Bank Negara Malaysia. The last time the government reviewed the minimum wage was in May 2022, increasing it from 1,200 ringgit to 1,500 ringgit. On Wednesday, the Malaysian Trades Union Congress, MTUC, urged the government to review the minimum wage rate following the Sales and Services Tax SST hike. Its Secretary-General, Kamarul Bahrain Mansour, reminded the government that the National Wages Consultative Council Act required a reassessment of the minimum wage every 2 years. Last year, the then Human Resources Minister, V. Sivakumar, said the review of minimum wage by the National Wage Consultation Technical Committee was 80% complete. The Kuala Lumpur-Singapore High-Speed Rail HSR project will not involve any funding from the government and will be fully led by the private sector. Transport Minister Anthony Loke Siew Fook told the Dewan Rakyat on Thursday that this was among the key points decided for the project following a preliminary report provided by MyHSR Corporation Sendram Berhad, or MyHSR, to his ministry. He said the HSR project is currently being evaluated by MyHSR and they have provided him with a preliminary report. However, the ministry has yet to assess the report. Loke added that one of the key points his ministry has already decided on is that the project will not involve any government funding and must be financed by the private sector. At the same time, Loke stated that the report will also be brought to the attention of Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and Cabinet for approval once it is assessed by the ministry. On another matter, Loke said the increase in the passenger service charge, or PSC, starting June 1st, only applies to flights in the ASEAN region and for international destinations. He stated that the ASEAN destination flight rate will be adjusted as an international PSC rate, with a single charge amounting to 73 ringgit for KL International Airport, KLIA Terminal 1, and 50 ringgit for KLIA Terminal 2 and other airports. According to Loke, the Malaysian Aviation Commission, MAVCOM, has already discussed with the airlines and the Transport Ministry, indicating that this coordination rate is deemed necessary. Current PSC rates for ASEAN and non-ASEAN destinations are at 35 ringgit and 73 ringgit respectively. He also noted that there is no increase in the PSC rate for the domestic sector, which is 11 ringgit, and the international sector also remains at 73 ringgit. Meanwhile, he said the new PSC for transfers at KLIA, meant for international transit passengers, had been approved and would be revealed in the near future. The price and supply of chicken nationwide is currently stable. Agriculture and Food Security Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Sabu said that this was based on the monitoring carried out by the Department of Veterinary Services at farms throughout the peninsula for 4 months since November 2023.
Purata harga ayam di ladang yang direkodkan di seluruh Semenanjung Malaysia sejak November 2023 adalah seperti berikut. November 2023 5.85 per kilogram. Disember 2023 6.39 per kilogram. Januari 2024 6.13 ringgit per kilogram. Dan Februari 2024 bulan lepas 6.03 ringgit per kilogram.
Muhammad also said that the price of chicken has stabilized due to steadying prices of imported corn and soybean for poultry feed. He also pointed out that the price of chicken could even be reduced if the ringgit grows stronger. He added that the decision whether the government will restrict the import of chicken or otherwise will depend on market conditions. Muhammad further stated that currently the government's view of subsidies and price controls for grades A, B and C eggs will continue using the existing mechanism, and any policy changes will take into account all factors, especially the current supply trend. Still to come on Nightline, US House passes TikTok ban bill. News from the foreign front when we return. Stay tuned.
Wanita hari ini
rasa macam nak bermanja tapi seganlah.
Kenapa nak segan? Salah ke jadi manja?
Dilema nak masak apa untuk bersahur dan berbuka?
Jom kami kongsikan menu sahur dan berbuka.
Sugi beli je dulu, bayar kemudian.
Hati-hati Syira, jerat hutang tak perlu.
Gastrik dan sakit kepala antara masalah kesihatan semasa berpuasa.
Bagaimana nak atasi? Jom tanya doktor.
Suami isteri tapi tak bercakap.
Tak bagus tu untuk rumah tangga.
Semuanya di WHI TV3.
Stream sekarang di Tonton.
Wanita hari ini.
Korang baru balik dari bazar kan? Apa lagi? Jomlah tonton drama-drama terbaik Ramadan minggu ini di TV3.
Ini tipu aku.
Thank you so much, sayang.
Welcome.
Dia nak nikah perempuan tu?
Dah, kenapa senyum macam orang gila ni? Sakit ke?
Gila tak sakit? Calon.
Calon apa? Cuma bukan nak rampas dia daripada Mami pun.
Takut kena racun lah dalam mi goreng tu.
Saksikan di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Serikan hujung minggu anda dalam jalan-jalan cari makan Ramadan bersama dengan saya Nadia Hasnan.
Dia punya pedas kat sini akak abang. 8/10. Tak makan lagi dah telan ayak liok ni tau.
Kita ada Siu My King. Inti dekat dalam dia adalah udang dan juga ayam.
Tak tambah lagi dengan kelebutan dia punya kambing yang digunakan. Memang terbaik.
Jangan lupa saksikan Jalan-Jalan Cari Makan Ramadan setiap Ahad 11.30 pagi hanya di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
We're back with news on the foreign front. Israeli forces again opened fire on Palestinians waiting for food aid in Gaza City, killing 6 and wounding at least 83 others. Gaza Health Ministry officials on Thursday said that Palestinians were rushing to get aid supplies at the Kuwait roundabout in northern Gaza City late Wednesday evening when the Zionist regime opened fire. An Israeli missile also hit a house in Deir al-Balah in central Gaza, killing at least 9 people, while aerial and ground bombardments continued overnight on areas across the enclave, including in Rafah, where over 1 million displaced people are sheltering. The Israeli military strikes across the Strip had killed 69 Palestinians and wounded 110 others in the past 24 hours. Over in Indonesia, 2 foreign tourists have been killed on the resort island of Bali on Thursday after heavy rain triggered a landslide that swept away their villa. Local disaster mitigation agency officials said the wooden villa in Jatiluwih village on the popular tourist island was hit by the landslide on Thursday morning after a downpour in the area the previous night. It said that the intense rain eroded water canals used for irrigation that sit above the villa and triggered the landslide. The female victim was born in Australia and had a US permanent residence permit, while the male victim's nationality and identity remain unknown. Landslides in Indonesia have been aggravated in some places by deforestation, with prolonged torrential rain causing flooding in some areas. The US House of Representatives overwhelmingly passed a landmark bill on Wednesday that could lead to TikTok being banned in the US. The bill would require the social media giant's Chinese parent company, ByteDance, to sell its controlling stake within 6 months, or else the app would be blocked in the US. While the bill passed with strong bipartisan support, it still needs approval from the Senate and the President to become law. This measure is part of a broader effort in Washington to address national security concerns related to China, spanning from connected vehicles to advanced artificial intelligence chips to port cranes. Meanwhile, China has strongly criticized the bill's approval, denouncing Washington's bandit mentality and pledging to take necessary measures to protect its company's interests abroad. The fate of TikTok, which is used by about 170 million Americans, has become a significant issue in Washington due to lawmakers' long-standing concerns about China's influence over the app. Up next on Nightline, Zijia outplays former world champ Qian Yu. Sports right after this breather. Don't go away.
Diskusi menarik di MHI sepanjang minggu. Sesi persekolahan minggu pertama. Pastinya banyak persediaan mental dan fizikal.
Dan Ramadan ditutup untuk bersedekah, tapi kena lakukan dengan hati-hati dan bijaksana.
Kehilangan ibu bapa tersayang pastinya meruntun jiwa. Hak penjagaan anak yatim perlu dijaga agar ada sinar buat mereka.
Simpanan syariah dan juga simpanan konvensional dalam KWSP. Bicarakan dalam Soal Wang.
Malaysia hari ini jam 9.30 pagi hanya di TV3.
Juga stream melalui Tonton.
Assalamualaikum. Saya anak awak.
Bila Kiara tiba-tiba muncul, terus berubah 360 darjah hidup Dr. Suhail.
Ni, anak buah.
Oh, anak alung kau.
Yes. Awak ni banyak cakap, awak tahu tak? Sama macam
siapa?
Saksikan minisiri Hello, Saya Anak Uncle. Mulai 17 Mac, setiap Ahad 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Indahnya berbagi, berkongsi rasa, eratkan hubungan. WHI Kongsi kembali lagi. Kami terus menyantuni golongan yang memerlukan. Hantarkan sumbangan anda berbentuk persiapan Ramadan dan Hari Raya kepada alamat yang tertera sebelum 28 Mac 2024.
Marhaban ya Ramadan.
We're back with sports now. Badminton, the 2024 All England Open Championships. National men's singles shuttler Li Zijia maintained his strong performance by effortlessly defeating Lo Qian Yu in straight sets during their second round clash on Thursday.
Zijia controlled the match from the start and blew away the Singapore's 2021 world champion 21-15, 21-12 in just 33 minutes. The world number 10 will face either Denmark's Anders Antonsen or India's Lakshya Sen for a place in the last four. However, mixed doubles Chen Tangjie, To Yi-wei failed to reach the next round as they were beaten by Netherlands' Robin Tabeling and Selina Peek. Despite claiming the first set 21-17, the world number 9 pair could not maintain their rhythm and lost the next two sets 19-21, 16-21 in just 58 minutes. It was also curtains for Tan Kian Meng and Lai Pei Jing in the mixed doubles event. The national pair suffered a straight set defeat, losing 17-21, 11-21 to Hong Kong's Tang Chunman and Si Yi Sweat in just 40 minutes.
Moving on to tennis, the 2024 Indian Wells Open. Holger Rune rallied from a set down and saved a match point to defeat former champion Taylor Fritz in their round of 16 clash on Thursday.
Despite losing the first set 2-6, the 20-year-old stepped up a gear to win the next two sets 7-6, 6-3 in a match lasting 2 hours and 18 minutes. The Dane will now face last year's runner-up Daniil Medvedev, who outclassed Grigor Dimitrov 6-4, 6-4 in the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, Luka Nardi, who stunned Novak Djokovic in the previous round, lost in straight sets, failing 6-4, 6-3 to American Tommy Paul. Paul will play Casper Ruud for a place in the semi-finals. Earlier, Ruud battled back from a set down to beat Guillermo Fils 3-6, 7-6, 6-4 in a match that lasted more than 2 hours. After losing the first set, the 9th-seeded Norwegian became more aggressive in a tight second set and rolled through the tie-break before clinching the hard-fought win in the deciding set. In the women's singles event, Emma Navarro upset world number 2 Aryna Sabalenka 6-3, 3-6, 6-2 to reach a maiden quarter-final. The world number 23 absorbed the power of the Australian Open champion to record his second top 10 win and the first top 5 of her career. The 22-year-old American will face 9th seed Maria Sakkari in the last 8. Also advancing was Coco Gauff. The 3rd seed celebrated her 20th birthday by defeating Elise Mertens in a dominant 6-love, 6-2 win to reach the last 8. The reigning US Open champion was ruthless in her performance, clinching the victory in just 1 hour and 6 minutes. She will face Yue Yuan of China for a place in the last 4.
Coming up after this quick break, loan sharks making borrowers put up vehicles as collateral. More local news, stay with us.
Why is so much sugar?
Oh, janganlah bubur semua.
You letak untuk I.
You boleh sabar tak?
Bunyi yang paling
paling
best.
mengiurkan di bulan puasa.
kan?
Siapa Farah itu?
Welcome home, sayang.
Aku dah jatuh cinta dekat kau.
Astagfirullahaladzim, dia suami orang.
Abah balik perempuan tu balik rumah, Mama.
I don't care.
Aku ni isteri kau, Mama.
Farah siapa?
Wanita Syurga.
Korang baru balik dari bazar kan? Apa lagi? Jomlah tonton drama-drama terbaik Ramadan minggu ini di TV3.
Awak sepatutnya tanya balik dengan diri awak apa yang tak kena dengan awak.
Sebab di mata abang, saya tak pernah sempurna.
Assalamualaikum.
Awak salah rumah kot.
Saya anak awak.
Kamu dah takut kan tadi?
Hei, bukan dia cakap tadi. Gila, membuat saya tergila-gila.
Saksikan di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Nightline continues. The Court of Appeal in Putrajaya on Thursday upheld the High Court's decision to impose the death penalty on 6 men convicted of murdering Deputy Public Prosecutor Dato' Anthony Kevin Moraes 9 years ago. A 3-judge panel chaired by Dato' Hadharia Said Ismail, sitting with Dato' Ahmad Zaidi Ibrahim and Dato' Azmi Arifin, unanimously decided on the verdict. The 6 men, aged between 31 and 61, had filed an appeal to set aside the decision of the High Court, which convicted and sentenced them to death for Kevin Moraes' murder. They are former pathologist Colonel Dr. R. Kunasigaran, moneylender S. Ravi Chandran, and 4 unemployed individuals, R. Dineshwaran, A.K. Tinesh Kumar, M. Vishwanath, and S. Nimalan. When dismissing the appeal, Hadharia said the prosecution had successfully proven that Kunasigaran not only had a motive, but was also the mastermind behind this murder. She also said that the murder was carefully planned and the condition of the body when it was found showed the cruelty of all the accused. On July 10, 2020, all 6 men were sentenced to death by the High Court after being found guilty of killing 55-year-old Kevin Moraes. They were charged with killing the victim at a location along Jalan Duta Mas Raya Sentul and Jalan USJ 1/6D, Subang Jaya, on September 4, 2015. The deceased was last seen leaving in a Proton Perdana car from Menara Duta condominium in Kuala Lumpur to his office at the Attorney General's chambers in Putrajaya. His body was later found in a drum filled with concrete at Persiaran Subang Mewah, Subang Jaya on September 16th of the same year. Loan sharks are now making victims put up their vehicles as collateral. Bukit Aman Commercial Crime Investigation Department Director Datuk Sri Ramli Muhammad Yusof said that police had detected this new modus operandi after a raid on an office unit in Sungai Besi on March 11th, in which 14 people were arrested. At a press conference on Thursday, Ramli said the raid also led to the discovery that the syndicate had made victims change the ownership of their vehicles if they wished to borrow money. According to Ramli, in order to obtain their loan, one would first need to hand over their vehicles to the company as a form of collateral. This process would require the borrower to pay additional fees to change ownership of the cars and to also install a GPS tracker. Before accepting the money, a borrower would need to sign an agreement letter regarding the selling and renting of the vehicle. If payments were not made, Ramli said the ownership of the cars would then be transferred to the syndicate without the knowledge of the borrower. The company, which was operating under the name of Renter Solution Tor Sendirian Berhad, had been operating by promoting their services via Facebook. The 14 arrested, all locals comprising of 10 men and 4 women, have been remanded until March 14th to assist investigations. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, we take a look at a Ukrainian soldier who uses mud and ash to paint scenes of nature and war. His works, including drawings of country houses and moonlit meadows, were being exhibited this month at the 11th century St. Sophia Cathedral that lies in the heart of Kyiv. With that, I'm Anita Wu. Thank you for tuning in and Selamat Bersahur.